Hello, friends. Welcome back again to the I Have a Vision Academy YouTube channel. In short, I Have Academy. So, without any further ado, let's start our topic. So, we are going to cover the first chapter of Lakshmikant book, that is historical background. See, sometimes we have to dwell in history to understand the basic political scenario at that period of time. So, covering the same, let us start with the year 1600, the year in which the East India Company came to India or arrived in India. Okay. At that period of time, they are purely into trading. Okay. So, they were trading and maximizing their profits. But as we know, as the history proceeds, came the year 1764. We all know what happened in 1764, the great battle of Buxar. Okay. So in conclusion to the battle of Buxar in 1765, the Treaty of Allahabad was signed. Okay. And in this Treaty of Allahabad, the Diwani rights, the collection of civil revenue rights, have been transferred to EIC. Okay. So when a company is having one more way for acquiring cash, so its profit should be maximized. Okay. If you have another source which is adding up to your treasury, so the company's profit will go high. But हम यहाँ क्या देखते हैं? Instead of that, the company started making loss. The East India Company started making loss. Why? Because the officers or the officials of the East India Company started getting rich. Okay, you all know this term, that is the famous term corruption. So these officials of East India Company started taking bribes, started taking gifts and doing some favor. Okay, so what happened? The EIC became bankrupt. So when the EIC became bankrupt, the shareholders of the East India Company went to British Empire and they requested the British Empire that, sir, India is a cash cow for the British Empire. Don't let India slip from the hands of East India Company. So give us some cash so that we can run the basic functions of the company. Now the British Empire contemplated that although they have acquired the Diwani rights in 1765, yet they are making losses. How is this possible? So British Empire came to know that this angle of corruption. So now onwards, as India was a cash cow for the British Empire, because they are making huge profits, indirectly it is a colony of British only. It has not been formalized yet in 1765, but more or less it is a colony of British only. So British Empire reprimanded East India Company. Now British Empire told the officials of company, told the shareholders of company that, sir, this is not happening. We can't let you to run company on these loose terms. So now onwards, we are going to regulate you. How you are going to regulate us? The company officials asked. British Empire told them that we will be passing regulating acts to manage and control the affairs of the company. Okay, sir. So this will not be one act. These regulating acts will be passed in the time span of every 20 years. Okay, so this all incident happened somewhere in 1773. So the first regulating act of 1773 was the first provision to maintain or regulate the affairs of the company. So as I have told you, in every 20 years these regulating acts will be upgraded. So after 20 years, regulating act of 1793, which is not at all essential for our exam point of view. Plus 20, 1813, somewhat essential. 1833, very essential. Major changes happened in this. First milestone of our learning is 1773. Second milestone will be 1813. Third milestone will be, sorry, not 1813, 1833. The third milestone will be 1853. So these all acts we have to memorize. आप इसका रट्टाफिकेशन मार लो. कंसेप्चुअल तो इसमें मुझे कुछ ज़्यादा लग नहीं रहा, पर कंसेप्चुअल भी मैं एक स्टोरी के माध्यम से आपको समझाने की कोशिश करूँगा. आप उससे भी देख लीजिए. So up till this I have told you about the regulating acts. Okay, so up till 1853 the East India Company was ruling India. That's why we also call it as company's rule. So from 1773 to 1853 we have company's rule. Acha, before going forward in Sepoy Mutiny, tell me one thing, why only one England company is there in India, the East India Company? Because in Britain, of course, there was competition in the market. So in India, why they allowed only one company? So the answer to this is, before coming to India in 1600, the owners of EIC went to Queen Elizabeth I, और वहाँ से उन्होंने एक ट्रेड चार्टर कलेक्ट कर लिया क्वीन एलिजाबेथ से. द चार्टर कंटेन द प्रोविजंस that while dealing with India, while doing business with India, the company reserves the sole right of monopoly. That's why the East India Company is the only England company in India. Okay. Regulating Act of 1853 has been passed. Okay. Now come the Great Sepoy Mutiny or First War of Independence in 1857. After 1857, British came to realize that bhaiya, it is not up to the standards of EIC to control India anymore. As India was a cash cow for the British Empire. Why? Because Britishers are importing huge amount of raw materials from India. They are manufacturing these raw materials in their own country, that is in Britain, and they are selling the final goods back to India. So we all know the value of final goods are much higher as compared to intermediate or raw material. Okay, so this way they are able to exploit the illiteracy of India, thus destroying the domestic market or domestic firms of India. Because they have big machines, na? Here we are using that Gandhi ji ka charkha, and they have big cotton mills, big wool mills. So they are using the economies of scale. This is an economic term. They are using the economics of scale. Okay, if you have a big machine, the cost incurred per unit of production is less. Okay, so we will dwell into economics this part. Sepoy Mutiny came in 1857. British told the EIC that now we are taking control over your territory. So then comes the crown rule. Now from now onwards, India will be in direct control of Britain's queen. That's why the period is called Crown's rule. Now in the first act of Crown rule came Government of India Act 1858. Okay. So in this there are not major changes, but there are some changes. We have to memorize these. Then comes 1861, 1 or 2 points. Then comes 1892, 2 or 3 points. Then comes the 1909 Act, which is also known as Minto-Morley reforms. Okay, this is very important act according to our syllabus. The Act of 1919, which is also called Montagu-Chelmsford reform or Montfort reform, very important. Then comes a super important act, Government of India Act of 1835. Okay, because almost 60 to 70% of our today's constitution is borrowed from this act. That's why it is very important. And then the Indian Independence Act 1947, which has 1 or 2 points. So these all things will be the syllabus of our today's lecture. Okay, so without any further ado, let's start one by one. So first act, Regulating Act of 1773. This was the first step in which British Empire recognized the political and administrative functions of the company in India. Okay, this was the first step. Now the second, it was the first step towards centralization in India. How it was the first step towards centralization? Because see, we have various provinces, and in these provinces we have governors of these provinces. So one of the provinces, which was also the richest province, is Bengal. Okay. Now this governor of Bengal was made Governor General of Bengal. So you may ask, only one term, general, has been added to this term. So what does this signify? So actually, in parallel to this, the legislative powers of governors of Bombay and Madras has been snatched. Completely? No, not completely, but the process has started. Okay. Now this Governor General of Bengal can't regulate the affairs of this kind of big company on its own. So it has I think 4 members were there. So it is Executive Council. What is the function of executive? If you have watched my basic class, you came to know that executive function is to implement the legislations which have been passed by the legislature. Okay. So absorb this statement. This executive council has also given role of legislative council. It means primarily this was an executive council, but it has given the function of legislative council also. What I mean, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is primarily a legislature, but he is also the executive of in our country. Are you able to relate this? In today's era, after independence, the legislatures contribute to the election of executives. And in that era, we are talking in 1773, the executive council has given the function to legislate. So you know, these kind of pillars are crossed at that period of time. So अगर हम यहाँ कॉमन सेंस लगाएं, इट वाज अ मेजर फ्लॉ. एग्जीक्यूटिव तो अपनी मनमानी कर सकते थे. The provisions which are deemed necessary in the eyes of executive, they can easily legislate those laws, and thus these laws will be legally enforced on the soil of India. ये दिक्कत थी इधर. ओके. One Supreme Court was established at Calcutta in 1774. Another thing was from this act now onwards the officials can't take gifts or bribe. Okay. Previously I have told you the company is at verge of bankruptcy. Okay. So now the Britishers want an answering authority. तुम कर क्या रहे हो इंडिया में, ये आंसर हमें चाहिए. So they have formed one answering authority. Britishers demanded, company formed an answering authority in company itself, known as Code of Directors. They will apprise the Britishers as how company is functioning in India. Next act, Pitt's India Act of 1784. दस साल बाद 1784 Pitt's India Act. Who was Pitts? He was Prime Minister of England at that period of time. Okay. So company was ruling India, EIC, from 1600. So approximately 173 plus years the company is ruling freely in India. And now the Britishers came roaming around the British Empire, and told the company that, dear company, now onwards we are going to regulate you in 1773. So they have enjoyed their freedom 173 plus years. So are they going to genuflect? In front of British? No. They will not put their knees down so easily. So the previous practices, the corruption and all, keeps on going. So the PM of England, after 10 years of 1773 Regulating Act, promulgated another act. Although the time period was 20 years, okay, from every 20 years after 1773, I have showed you the timetable. But as these rampant practices are not being stopped by the Act of 1773, so came the Pitt's India Act of 1784 to bridge the gaps between the legislations and executive. Okay. So in Pitt's India Act of 1784, मैं इसीलिए ये 10 साल लिख रहा हूँ ताकि आपको याद हो जाए ये ईयर्स. ओके, क्योंकि ये वाली टेबल हमको पता है. 1773 बताओ, 20 साल बाद और आगे 20 साल, एटीन 13 और 20 साल और 20 साल. This table we know. We only have to remember 1773 date. Okay. 1793 not important. 1813, 1833, 1854 Sepoy mutiny. Okay. So coming back to the topic, in the Pitt's India Act of 1784, first time the company's capital is called British possessions in India. It means Britishers gave themselves, the British Empire, the supreme control of regulating the East India Company's affair. So British possessions word was called first time in this act. The second thing which happened is, now the commercial affairs and the political affairs of the company has been segregated. The court of directors, which is the answering authority from the company's side, will control the commercial affairs, will regulate the commercial affairs of the company. And a board of control which has Queen's representatives in it will be regulating the political affairs. So this was nothing but Pitt's India Act of 1784. Now we will proceed to Regulating Act of 18 and 13, क्योंकि 1793 तो important है नहीं. So next will be Regulating Act of 1813. Coming to the next act, Regulating Act of 1813. See, if you remember, we have skipped this 1793. So plus 20 years, we got Regulating Act of 1813. So three things happened in Regulating Act of 1813. First was the Christian missionaries were allowed to enter in India. So you know, धर्म परिवर्तन की चीज़ें ये सब होने लग स्टार्ट हो गई. Then Rupees 1 lakh for education has been kept aside after this act every year. Why? For educating Indians. For educating the Indian masses, they have to spend some money. So rupees 1 lakh for education was kept aside. Then third is company monopoly ended, except trade in tea with China. So this was not the complete end of company's monopoly, but was a kind of partial ending. Okay. In 1833, the next act, the company monopoly totally ended or completely ended. Okay. So this was nothing but the Regulating Act of 1813. I think this year in UPSC prelims we have a question something on these lines, that why Britishers are keen to educate Indians. So if you have read the Spectrum book thoroughly, so there was a line in it, or you can call it the essence of that line, that Britishers want some Indians which are Indians by skin but Britishers by mind. Okay. I think the line was they want someone who are Indian by blood but British in mind. Something on these lines. Going ahead with Charter Act 1833. The first provision was the Governor General of Bengal. The name has been changed to Governor General of India. Now, what does this change of term signify here? It signifies that the final step towards centralization is complete. The centralization process, which was started in year 1773, has been completed in 1833. Why? Because as the Governor General of Bengal has given the title of Governor General of India, so the legislative powers which I have told you, the legislative powers of governors of Madras and Bombay have been snatched away completely. So it was a final step towards centralization. So now onwards EIC will work as purely administrative body. Okay. So after the 1833 Act was passed, now the provisions will be called acts and not regulations. We were studying now regulating act. Now these will be called charter acts. Understood? One more point, the first law commission under Macaulay was constituted in Charter Act of 1833. Another point which I would like to add, that in Charter Act of 1833 there was one more provision which can't be implemented in this provision. So that particular provision will be implemented in the next Charter Act, in Charter Act of 1853. Okay, what was that provision? That the covenanted civil services, the higher civil services examination was thrown open to Indians all. Okay, previously To attain the post of a civil servant, you have to go to Haileybury's College in England. But Indians were not allowed to write that exam. So in 1833 Act, they tried to pass this legislation. What? To throw this examination open to Indians. But they can't succeed. So in 1853 Charter Act, this provision was added and passed. Okay. So this was for you the Charter Act of 1833. Coming to Charter Act of 1853. In this act, there was a provision to separate the legislative and executive function of Governor General Council. Okay. Previously, I have told you that the Governor General was aided by an Executive Council of 4, which also acts as Legislative Council. Okay. Primarily, that body was functioning as an executive, but can also legislate laws. Okay. So the first provision, the very important, was separated legislative and executive function of Governor General Council. So how this was separated? A central legislative assembly or an Indian legislative assembly has been formed. But this assembly has no power up till 1892, when it acquired the discussing budget power. Okay. At the time period of 1853, this was more of a stamp mark only, okay, with no real powers. Then second thing, I have told you that in 1853, for current scenario, the Covenanted Civil Services Examination or the Higher Civil Services Examination was thrown open to Indians. So the first to clear the pre was Satyendranath Tagore. Understood? After this act, of the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857 or the First War of Independence took place. The company rule has been over. Now, the India will be governed directly under the Queen. After the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857, that shook the Britishers. Now, as the India was a cash cow to Britishers, they don't want to lose this cash cow. So they analyzed that we have to change the organization, the political organization, the administrative organization of India. So that was nothing but Government of India Act 1858. So the first term introduced was Viceroy. Now the Governor General of India is replaced by the Viceroy of India term. He was in India, the head of India. Okay. Another body, a 15-member council, which was advisory in nature, has been provided to Secretary of State. Who was this Secretary of State? He was kind of MP in Britain's Parliament. So he was head of India in England. So understand like this. Viceroy is the head of India in India. Secretary of State was head of India in England. And this 15-member council is there to aid and advise the Secretary of State. And the Secretary of State was answerable to Queen, indirectly means the Parliament of England. Okay. This act was called the Act of Good Governance in India. तो मतलब इसका मतलब क्या है? Previously the Britishers are ruling India badly or with bad governance? No. The reason behind calling this act as Act of Good Governance is this body the Viceroy Council, भाई इसके पास भी तो काउंसिल होगी ना, टू एड एंड एडवाइस, हैज बीन मेड body corporate. What does this signify? It signifies that now the Indians can sue their government. It is kind of answerability or accountability towards Indian, more of a superficial, because इससे पहले इंडिया में कोई राजा से सवाल नहीं पूछ सकता था, उसके खिलाफ कोर्ट केस नहीं कर सकता था। शाहजहां ने कटवा दी ना सबके हाथ जिन्होंने ताजमहल बनवाया था, कोई सवाल नहीं पूछ पाया। बट नाउ द ब्रिटिशर्स आर टेलिंग इंडियंस दैट डियर इंडियंस, वी हैव गिवन यू आंसरेबल अकाउंटेबल गवर्नमेंट। इट कैन बी sued in courts or can sue in courts. Okay. So this was nothing but Government of India Act of 1858. Indian Council Act of 1861. See, don't confuse between the Indian Council Act, Government of India Act, Charter Acts, Regulating Acts. इतना आसान क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछा जाएगा। ओके। First is decentralization. We all know the centralization in India started with the Regulating Act of 1773 and reached its zenith in 1853. After that, Sepoy Mutiny happened. Now, in 1861, Britishers analyzed that decentralization is better. So they started decentralization of India in 1861. So what does this term mean, decentralization? First thing, there was formation of legislative council in provinces. In each and every provinces, now the legislative council can be formed. Second thing, we knew that the legislative powers of governors of Madras and Bombay have been snatched away. So these powers are given back to the respective governors. Okay. Third is non-official members. The association of non-official members with Viceroy started in 1861. Who are the first three nominees? The Maharaja of Patiala, Raja of Banaras, and Sir Dinkar Rao. Okay. The Viceroy has given ordinance making power. You know, kind of emergency power अभी भी है, हमारे प्रेसिडेंट के पास है, हमारे गवर्नर के पास है। So this ordinance making power has been given to Viceroy. Time period normally 6 months. एंड द लास्ट पॉइंट पोर्टफोलियो सिस्टम, ये हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे व्हाट इज पोर्टफोलियो सिस्टम. ओके, कैनिंग के द्वारा स्टार्ट किया गया. The Indian Council Act of 1892. I have told you previously, the Central Legislative Assembly, which was formed with Charter Act of 1853, has no powers. It was kind of a superficial body. But now in Indian Council Act of 1892, this Central Legislative Assembly, this Indian Legislative Council, has been given power to discuss budget as well as address questions to executive, but they can't ask supplementary questions. Okay, only one time questions. The second thing was indirect elections. Actually these are not elections, but for our easiness we have remembered this as indirect elections. So what was these indirect elections? See, after this act, the Viceroy started taking recommendations from various trade union in different fields, okay, with colleges, with various student wings about the legislations which will be passed in India. So these are kind of indirect elections, because at least the Viceroy is considering our opinion. Next act, Indian Council Act of 1909, also known as Morley-Minto reforms. Why this Morley-Minto? Morley was Secretary of State, Minto was Viceroy of India. We have seen previously that this kind of change in administrative structure of India happened in which act? After Sepoy Mutiny, the ICA Act of 1858. Okay, so Morley was Secretary of State and Minto was the Viceroy of India. So let's see one by one the provisions of it. The first and the very or utmost important provision was the Muslims were given communal electorate. Okay, that's why the Minto, the Viceroy Minto, is also known as father of communal electorate. Okay, see why these only Muslims are given communal electorate. If you have read in history, in 1906 Muslim League was formed. So this Muslim League went to, I think, Viceroy to demand separate electorate to Muslims. That's why in this provision, continuing the policy of divide and rule of Britishers, they thought that अच्छा ये सही बात है, Muslims हमारे पास खुद ही आ चुके हैं. Now let us use them. This is not my language. This is the language written in the Spectrum book. So the strategy of Britishers are to use Indians against Indians. That's why this communal electorate to Muslims were given. Okay. A limited direct elections were given to Indian polity. Okay. Now Central Legislative Assembly और Indian Legislative Assembly कब बनी थी? सिपॉय म्यूटिनी से एक एक्ट पहले. पावर्स थी या नहीं? इट वॉज अ सुपरफिशियल हाउस इन द ईयर 1853. ओके. पावर्स कब आई? इन 1892. And what were these powers? To ask questions to executive. Okay. Now, as we all know, in 1885, what was formed? Which party was formed in 1885? INC, Indian National Congress. So as there was pressure from the INC, that's why in this 1892 act, the Central Legislative Assembly was given powers. Okay, some powers, not everything. Now further pressurization of INC has led to devolvement of more powers to the Central Legislative Assembly. What were these powers? Now they can ask supplementary questions from the executive. In Act of 1892, I have told you that they can ask questions, but once they got reply of their questions, they can't ask supplementary questions. So the Britishers or the legislatures can give any answer to them. Okay. Now the Indians can ask supplementary questions, and also they can move resolution on part of budget, not whole budget but part of it. Okay. Another thing, the Central Legislative Assembly expanded. और ये छोटा मोटा एक्सपेंशन नहीं था, अच्छा खासा एक्सपेंशन था. वी डोंट हैव टू रिमेंबर द नंबर्स, बट ट्राई टू मेमोराइज इट. Central Legislative Assembly expanded. So there are two types of members in Central Legislative Assembly. One was official members, another was non-official members. Non-official members were Indians. Official members were Britishers. So Central Legislative Assembly has expanded, but there was majority of official members in the Central Legislative Assembly. Non-official members majority was there in the provinces of the Legislative Council. Okay. Then Indians were involved for the first time in the Viceroy Executive Council. Who was the first Indian? Satyendra Prasad Sinha was the first Indian to get nominated and included in the Viceroy's Executive Council. So आप ये देख रहे होंगे, ज़्यादातर सब लोग सत्येंद्र ही हैं. हमने फर्स्ट सिविल सर्वेंट पढ़ा था, उसका नाम क्या था? सत्येंद्र नाथ टैगोर. ओके. कब आया था सिविल सर्विसेज वाला एक्ट? अब अगर आपको ध्यान हो तो देखो, 1833 में तो अटेम्प्ट हुआ था जहां तक मुझे याद आ रहा है, पर आ नहीं पाया था. तो इट हैज टू बी 1853. आप एक बार चेक करना कॉपी से, ठीक है? मेरे लॉजिक के हिसाब से तो ऐसे जाऊंगा मैं, अगर जाऊंगा एग्जाम में तो. इसीलिए मैंने आपको ये रटाया था कि in 1833 there was an attempt to there was an attempt to throw open the civil services examination to Indians, but they were not succeeded. So in next act 1853 they were succeeded in passing this provision. Okay, so this was nothing but Indian Council Act or Morley Minto reforms of 1909. Another act, Government of India Act of 1919. So as we all know, Gandhi arrived in India in 1915, I think. So he took rest for 2 years. In 1917, I think the first Satyagraha, the Champaran Satyagraha took place. Correct me in the comment section if I am wrong, okay? So Gandhi ji demanded two things, that there should be division of powers, and second thing, we want bicameralism. What does this term signifies? Bicameralism. It means two houses, like the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha of the present. Okay. So kind of accepting these demands and putting it in a gift wrapper. Okay, kind of sugarcoating it, because they don't want to give this demand in a wholehearted manner. So what they did, in Government of India Act of 1919, they separated the subjects. What are these subjects? This can be everything on which you can make a rule, like जमीन हो सकती है, okay, air travel, tourism, anything that is called a subject. So the central and the provincial subjects are segregated. Okay. Now why I have used the term sugar coated? Because of this. The central subjects were in the hands of Viceroy only, Britishers only. So this is not touched. Now come here. The provincial subjects are the subjects on which the provinces can make laws or provinces can pass legislations. So whole trickery is done in provincial subjects. These are divided into two. So the provincial subjects were divided into two subjects, transferred and reserved. Now what is the difference between these two? In transferred subjects, it is kind of a straight list. Okay, it means these subjects are given to the provinces. The Viceroy has to take aid and advice of the legislative councils, provincial legislative councils, to legislate in these areas. But in these areas, I remind you that these are provincial subjects, means the provinces have the authority, sole authority to pass legislations in these subjects. But the subcategorization of provincial subjects into transferred and reserved have changed everything. So in reserved, it is more of a central subjects, means the Viceroy can act in his discretion without aid and advice of the PLC, Provincial Legislative Council, in these subjects. So this type of political arrangement is nothing but diarchy or diarchy. Okay, what we are studying? Government of India Act of 1919. This is very famous provision of this act. We have to remember this. Okay. The second thing Gandhiji is demand, bicameralism. This is kind of division of powers only. Yes. Bicameralism. So this the Britishers gave us, and direct election, limited direct elections. Another provision was the Viceroy Executive Council consists of 6 members. So the first person which was included in the Viceroy's Executive Council was Satyendra Prasad Sinha, I think we have studied. So now there will be 3 members of Indian origin in the Viceroy Executive Council. Okay. Next provision, communal electorate to 6 Christians, Europeans and Anglo-Indians were given. Divide and rule policy, nothing else. Another provision, the office of High Commissioner was formed via this act. Okay, where? In London. Of course, in London only. And the establishment of Public Service Commission, which at present we all know as UPSC. So this is very important point. Coming to the most important act, the Government of India Act of 1935. We all know that 60 to 70% of our constitution is taken from this act only. It is more of a carbon copy of Government of India Act 1935. This is one of the main criticism also of Indian Constitution. We will deal with it in another chapter. Okay. So coming back to our topic, the first provision was very important. Now, earlier we have seen diarchy or diarchy in Government of India Act of 1919 or Montagu-Chelmsford reform or Montfort reforms. Okay. Acha, I haven't told you this. The GOI Act of 1919 is also called Montagu-Chelmsford reforms or Montfort reforms. Okay. Who was Montagu? Secretary of State. Who was Chelmsford? Viceroy. Just as Morley Minto reforms. Okay. Coming back to the Government of India 1935. So now the subjects are segregated into 3 lists. Okay. And residuary powers were kept aside. In Government of India Act 1919, we have seen that the lists are separated into 2. Okay, the central and the provincial. Now the provincial were further segregated into transferred and reserved. This whole political system is known as diarchy. Okay. Now in Government of India Act of 1935, more powers were devolved to the Indians. Okay. So now there will be 3 lists: central list, provincial list, concurrent list. Okay. And residuary powers were given to Viceroy. They wanted to have some control over the Indians also. So residuary powers to Viceroy. Okay. In 1919 Act, we have seen that there was bicameralism at center. Now this act provides bicameralism in provinces also. So in 6 provinces we have bicameralism via this act. Okay. communal electorate given to scheduled caste, women and labor via Government of India Act of 1935. Okay, this is an important point because this has been asked in one of the statements in your previous year question of prelims. Okay, I think 2019 or 2020 prelims. So as Britishers has annexed Burma, now at present Myanmar. So via Government of India Act of 1935, Burma has been separated. The act also has the provisions of Joint and State Public Service Commission, JPSC and SPSC. Okay. The last provision is the RBI and federal court has been provided via this act. We all know, if we have studied economics, that RBI Act of 1935. Okay. So this was nothing but created by the provisions of Government of India Act of 1935. And for establishment of federal court at Delhi, today's Supreme Court. Okay, so this was a very important act. Okay, because most of the powers have been devolved to Indians. Okay, now a last provision I have to discuss with you. See, we want a dominion status. Okay. Why we want this dominion status? Because at that period of time we were colony of whom? Of British. So we want dominion. And what were our future plans? To get independence or become sovereign. Okay, sovereign means kind of independent. Okay, so this journey we have to travel. Okay, but what was the definition of colony? So definition of colony was that we are not militarily conquered. We were occupied by the legal means. Okay, by the acts. We have not been occupied by force or by using the forces of any country. We have been made slaves by the legal means, by the political means. Okay, so it is not like that we can wage war at Britishers and they will leave. It was not like that. So Gandhiji was very educated. He was a barrister, so he knows this part. But in a country where you have only 10% literacy rate, how can you make such a huge population understand this basic idea and basic root? So it was very impossible, next to impossible. But we salute our freedom struggles, each and every one of them, that today we are here as a sovereign nation. Okay, so this demand was also made in 1935. We want all India Federation. So Britishers said that okay, we will give you All India Federation. But the problem arises here. India was such a diverse country at that period of time and also at present. So how was India politically organized? So I always repeat that India was the colony of Britishers and they are our political masters. But in reality, on ground, the situation is like that. These are provinces which are the colony of Britishes, and these are Rajwadas or princely states, we all know. So these were not part of British colony. How? So these princes have entered in a separate agreement called the Agreement of Paramountcy. Means we are ruling this area in India, but we agree that, we accept that above us there is a queen who is ruling us. Okay, so this was Agreement of Paramountcy. Okay, now these princely states rejected this idea. Now Britishers told Indians, how can we give you something which are not with us? You Indians are only rejecting this offer. These are also Indians, na? Princes and the citizens which are living in these provinces. So how can you, Britishers are saying this, so how can we give you something which is not in our hand? You have to solve this problem domestically. So this was one of the provisions in the Government of India Act of 1935, but due to the rejection of this offer by princely states, this can't be implemented. Okay, so this was nothing but Government of India Act 1935. Hence come the last act of our historical background, which is called Indian Independence Act of 1947. It is not that much important, but let's take a glance together. So in August 1947, British left India. The partition of India took place from this act only. On the midnight of August 14 and 15, the partition took place, and we all know the riots that are happened in 1948-49. Okay, the Viceroy post has been abolished and replaced by Governor General of Independent India. Who was the first Governor General of Independent India? Lord Mountbatten. Okay, this I was talking about in previous act, the British Paramountcy clause. Now this clause itself has ended. So हम सबको पता है, at the time when India got independence, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has to call army in Junagadh and in Hyderabad to annex them. Okay, the army made these two provinces genuflect and accept the proposal to join India. So thanks to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So this was nothing but Indian Independence Act of 1947. So friends, we have covered all the acts in depth. So if you like this video, please share it with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel. तब तक के लिए जय हिंद.